I'm going to take you through tying a craft fur baitfish. This is a really flexible pattern, all kinds of colors. You can vary the size. I like to fish it in the hill country for big bass, but I fished it in the Bahamas. I fished it in Florida for exotics. In fact, it's one of my most effective white bass flies too, tied in this orange and yellow. I'm going to do one in orange today. We're going to start off by putting our hook in the vise. This is a Partridge 2/0 hook. I like these hooks. They're really sharp and they are pretty durable. Another thing that I like about this fly is that there's very few materials. It's craft fur, it's a hook, it's thread, and it's 2 eyes. That's the entire fly. So we're going to start by putting a thread base in about halfway between the barb of the hook and the back. So just there, just in behind the barb. We're going to take a tuft of craft fur. This is the extra select craft fur. You really need something that's pretty long here. This also has a little bit less of the under fur in it, which helps it keep from building up too fast. I do want to pull some of this out. So I'll hold it about an inch up from the base and I'll pull everything out that just easily comes out of my hand. And end up with something like this. Now, because it's pretty wispy at the end, I'll go ahead and hold the tips, pull this out, and then reline everything or line everything back up again. And that just helps, get a nice bulky piece of craft fur that's not too long. And this is about the length I want for this particular fly. You can see what I'm doing here. So I'll go ahead and trim this and tie it in. So what we're going to do is tie 3 bundles in on the top and then 2 bundles in on the bottom. So there's our first bundle on the top, and we're going to go ahead and put a second bundle in on the top. Just repeating that process again. Go ahead and pull the underfur out. I'm going to line up the tips. And I'm going to tie this batch in just in front of the previous batch, just like this. So I'll trim it and tie it in right here. I'm going to flip, fly over, and I'm going to tie in a bunch on the bottom side. Again, we're just going to take the underfur out. Line it up. Trim the excess off the front and tie this in. And this one we can tie in right on top of the previous bundle, just like this. Now you could put a little flash in here. Sometimes I do. I find for a lot of these flies it just isn't necessary. So now I'm going to take the thread forward and I'm going to repeat those last 2 steps. I'm going to tie a bundle in on the top and a bundle in on the bottom. This is our 3rd bundle on the top. and our second and final bundle on the bottom. I'm using UTC 140 thread. I like this thread. It doesn't build up too fast, but it's really strong. And it comes in all kinds of colors. I usually will match the color of the thread to the color of the craft fur that I'm using. So you can see here it's a pretty good match. So now we're going to do the head of this fly. And we're going to use craft fur, but instead of folding it back, we're going to pick out the underfur, and then we're going to trim the tips off. Well, more than the tips. I'm going to create a bundle about this long. I'm going to tie it in right here in the front. And I'm going to turn the fly over. And I'm going to tie one underneath the exact same way. This time, though, I'm going to use red. This creates a throat. And I think a little bit of red, especially for saltwater flies, can be really effective. It imitates a wounded baitfish. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take the underfur out. We're going to trim this in half, and we're going to tie a bundle in right on the bottom of the one that we just did. And we're going to pull this back. We're going to advance the thread to here. I'm going to flip the fly back over, and we're going to repeat this. Only this time we're going to do two bundles of orange, a bundle on the top and a bundle on the bottom. And this should be right up to the eye of the hook. You'll end up with something that looks like this on the top, and then on the bottom, we'll repeat that. Now we're going to take our fingers and we're going to push this back, pulling the thread forward like this. And we're going to wrap down over the front of this, just like that. I'm going to create almost like a little nose. And this is going to help push all that craft fur back and give us a nice head. At this point, you can go ahead and whip finish this off. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little drop of either crazy glue or head cement here and just make sure that that doesn't come unraveled. And now we're going to need to trim this. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the vise. And I'm going to start at the back here and just kind of move forward, creating a rounded head, a little bit at a time. You can always trim more off, You can't put anything back on, so go slow here. Just kind of watch it as you're going through. But I want to get kind of the silhouette of the rounded head here. Do the same on the top, kind of taking off the hard edges. Maybe trim the sides down a little. And because this head is a little fuller, a little bit more bulk, it really pushes water out in front of it, which is something I think can be very, very effective. You can go ahead and bar this now if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and just put a few bars in here. I think just like the red, this I think stimulates predator fish. You get something like that. And now I'm going to put the eyes on. So this is Loctite super glue. It's the gel version. So I'll take this out of the vise. The eyes that I'm using here are just these domed eyes that come with a stem. So I've clipped the stems off flush with the back. And I'll go ahead and put a drop here. And I'll push this in. I want it to kind of lock into the shank of the hook. So I'll put a little more in, and then I'll place a drop on the top. I'll place the eye right there, and then I'll hold this down with my thumb, and I'll push it really hard to let that lock in. And get this, and then you can do the exact same on the other side. Just a drop to start with, kind of work that into the craft fur, pushing it down towards the shank of the hook. And then when you have that pushed in there, another drop on the top. There we go. Just push that down. And that's it. That's the craft fur baitfish.